the Wolters Kluwer Premium Library in Boma can help there. Now, the news cycle never stops, but it's been really intense over the last 6 months. Some of the changes, we're still waiting for the legislation to come into effect, and in the meantime, the old rules still apply. So news comes through largely unfiltered. It can be hard sometimes for business owners to work out the likely impact of changes for their business. And accountants can play a real role here, just filtering the news that's likely to have an impact on particular client groups. There's been a lot of news about changes since the election and the first 100 days, which captured the popular imagination. And you could choose to give clients an overview of where we're at with those. Now, Charles is showing the article, What Policy Changes Might Affect Your Business. That covers the 90-day employment trial periods being extended, clean car discount and the ute tax being cancelled, fair pay agreements being cancelled, and the fuel tax changes. If you wanted to reach residential property investors, you might choose an article like What Property Investors Need to Know, and there's another more targeted article on interest deductibility as well. But with What Property Investors Need to Know, interest deductibility has been such a hot issue. And we're waiting still for the legislation to bring in the changes, but the government's just said that when the changes do come in, 80% deductibility will apply for the 2024-25 tax year. Now, just noting that until yesterday, the figure for the 23-24 tax year had been at 60%. That allowance will remain now at 50%. You could also mention other changes we're waiting on, such as changes to the Bright Line test and the removal of depreciation on commercial buildings and so on. So as well as talking about things that have been in the news, you also need to be able to let clients know about issues that haven't had so much media attention. Some changes have come in more or less under the radar, but they do have potential to seriously affect certain kinds of businesses and certain kinds of taxpayers. Now, a good example here is the changes for online marketplaces. That's something that hasn't had a lot of news attention, but it might have a wide impact. Thanks, Charles. So these changes may affect various client groups. They break down into two. From January, there are information disclosure changes, and from April, there are GST changes. From January, online marketplaces must collect and report information about sellers and transactions on their platforms. This makes income earning activity much more transparent to Inland Revenue, and the scope is pretty wide. It covers short stay accommodation platforms like Airbnb, ride sharing platforms like Uber, platforms where sellers share assets such as cars, caravans, parking spaces, storage, and platforms for personal services, things like graphic design, website creation, odd jobs like deliveries, pet sitting, furniture assembly, or trade services, which may or may not affect a larger section of your client base. If you do have clients who are contractors or just taxpayers letting out the family batch, or others you think are likely to be affected, you might like to give them a heads up. Remind them about declaring this kind of income. The first reports from online marketplaces are due to reach Inland Revenue in February next year, and they could be interested in undisclosed income for the 23-24 tax year. Even bigger changes come in April, when online marketplaces must collect and return GST on services provided in New Zealand. The scope's a bit more limited here than that applying for information disclosure changes, but it's still wide enough. It covers short stay and visitor accommodation, ride sharing and ride hailing, and food and beverage delivery services. So the change applies whether the seller is GST registered or not. It mightn't be such a shock for your GST registered clients, but it could be for your clients who aren't registered, and there are some special rules that apply for them. You can prepare them for this and sketch out how you can help. And if you think clients in this group are likely to be a bit more price sensitive, propose helping them through a transitional period. Charles, could we have a look at how you'd reach out to clients to let them know about the changes on this?
Sure, thanks, Michelle. So look, as well as being able to put this on your website as a blog, you can choose to send this out in a campaign. So if I quickly click on Deliver and Campaign, you'll see I've got options to send this out to my email audience, out to my social media channels, and for today, I'll just choose both. So we'll call it Online Marketplaces Tax and New, and that's just for your internal account purposes, so you know what you've been sending out. Now, the next stage is to think about your social post, and you can see we've written one for you here. Now, you may wish to insert a hashtag, and it could be your business name there, and then maybe some other, couple of other hashtags like, tax or New Zealand, SMB, things like that. Now, obviously, you're free to make any changes you want to the body of the social post. In this case, I think we'll just send it as is. And you can see down below, we've also got a full branded web page where the people who read your social post can obviously go through and read the full article and download the guide to online marketplaces. So the next stage is to just think about the different social channels that you're going to be sending it from. You can see here we've got LinkedIn, personal and business, Twitter and Facebook. And you can see here when I click on preview that the 2 or 3 changes we've made have come through, and this will be pulled through for all your social channels. Facebook is a little bit different. They don't allow us to fill a post on your behalf. It's very easy to get around. Just click on copy and paste, and you can see there that those changes have all come through as well. So now with our social channels done, let's have a look at email. And in this case, the first thing we're going to do is think about who we're going to send this particular email to. So if I click on edit and then show, and you can see here that I've got the option to either send it to all my contacts, or I can filter using tags. And I will talk about tags in a minute or two, just the importance of using tags and segmenting your database. But for this purpose, the demo, I'll just click save and close. Now let's think about what your email is going to look like. We'll go straight to branded template, and we're going to choose the full article. And because the content and Boma are all integrated, when you choose the template with the full article, the content and the image and any download URLs will actually be injected in here. And then it's just really up to you as to how much or little you would like to personalize it. I always like to recommend putting a merge tag in along with a greeting, and that will just personalize it. So we'll pull out the first name of all your contacts and then address it to them. Then obviously at the end, we've got the downloadable guide. So let's put in a quick ending salutation, a sign off, and then maybe add in a button. So obviously they can download that guide, but let's also say that they can contact us. And then we could send that through either to a URL link, maybe like a booking page, or it could actually either send you an email or a phone call. Just depends on how you like to communicate with your different segments of your audience and your clients. So once you're happy with it, and you don't want to make any other changes, even changes to the content, you can come through and check that the subject line and preview description are what you want it to say. We've made some suggestions for you. Obviously, you can edit or rewrite those. At this point, it's just, you can obviously preview the email, but then it's just a case of scheduling delivery. You can send it out immediately or at some time in the future. I'm going to send it to go out later on this afternoon at 4 p.m. Schedule it, and then we're ready to go.